activated, this storm is not over just yet. Good evening. I'm Lynn Brown with Rosanna Scotto. We have a special update for you on the damage this storm has caused so far, and also what's ahead for tonight. The rain changed to snow. The snow was mixed with tears. The snow that hit our area turned the roads icy and treacherous, giving New Yorkers a third major element to cope with in the big storm of '92. There were the enormously high winds and rain and the pounding surf and high tides. Together, they wrecked the homes and beachfront property that for many people represented a lifetime of work. And along the shore from Long Island to New Jersey, homes and cars were pushed aside and roads were buried.
Some of the most heartbreaking devastation was in Brooklyn at Seagate. That's where George Smith has been all day. George, what's happening?
Well, Rosanna, you know, many people returned to this area today, homeowners along the waterfront here, to assess the damage. And when they came back, they were horrified, and let me show you why. Let's take a look over here. If you can see all these rocks and gravel over here, that wasn't there yesterday. It was only sand. The strong waves smashed up against the seawall here, hurling these rocks up on the shore, smashing windows, destroying property. In fact, in that pile of rubble, there used to be a swimming pool last night. Now, let me show you the ocean right here. It is a little bit calmer than it was last night, but don't be fooled. The ocean seems to be moving in, and we understand that high tide is coming in about 10 o'clock tonight. All in all, it's been a very sobering first day after the storm. Seagate resident Natasha Schnitzer surveys the flood damage in her basement. She's managed to pump out most of the water, but the damage is devastating, particularly because she has no flood insurance, and the damage outside her home is also extensive.
The water was so high and so deep that the water did not break on my bulkhead, but broke on the porch, and maybe about 7 feet of water came rushing to the sides of my house.
The storm not only destroyed thousands of dollars of Schnitzer's personal property, it almost took her life.
We had maybe 20, 30-foot high waves, and when they broke, they did not break on the bulkhead. They broke at my deck and knocked me off my feet. I was doing work out here, boarding up my windows. It knocked me off my feet. I fell into the water up to my shoulders. And another wave came and threw me back underneath the deck, and my brother and another fellow quickly grabbed me. I was going underneath with the wave.
Signs of devastation are everywhere. This used to be a 2-story beachfront home. Now it's a heap of rubble. The family evacuated less than an hour before it was destroyed. The National Guard is here trying to prevent more widespread damage, but the challenge is daunting. Crews from the local power company must go house to house to check for gas leaks before power is restored. Meanwhile, many residents are holed up in emergency shelters.
You were staying here.
How come?
Because I have no gas, no electric, and no heat. And no hot water.
To make matters worse, midday snow is leaving streets even slicker and making life for storm victims even more miserable. In fact, life is so miserably here. Many of the homeowners along the waterfront have left for the night. As you just heard, there is no gas, no heat, and no electricity in many of these homes. Now, this is the back porch of Ira and Nina Maisler's home, and they are not here right now. They thought it was too dangerous to stay. They said, it's okay if you want to stay out here, but we're going to find warmer ground. Now, I should also mention that there are 4 homes that have been declared unsafe to live in. It's not clear if they're in danger of collapsing, but they're certainly unfit to have people in them right now. In any case, that's the latest from here. Reporting live from Brooklyn, I'm George Smith. Now back to Lynn in the studio.
Okay, thank you very much, George, and we'll all pray for a let-up. Well, people who live on Long Island are veterans of many storms, but they say this by far is the worst. Heavy rains, fierce winds continue to battle coastal areas today, and Fire Island was devastated.
This storm, I guess, has really devastated our entire area here. I understand many homes are about to go into the sea. Ours is not quite there yet, but it looks like it's pretty close.
As the storm hit full force, some people lost everything. High tides reached the coast and people's homes toppled into the ocean. The Marine Bureau says about a dozen houses were damaged beyond repair. Despite the loss of property, there are no reports of injuries. In other coastal areas, more damage. The storm wreaked havoc at Point Lookout, overturning vans and ripping the sidewalk right out of the ground. The Marine Bureau says tides are still high on Fire Island, and they fear that more homes may be lost. Rosanna?
Lynn, the storm continues to cause problems in New Jersey. All path service is still shut down at this hour. Right now, workers are trying to get the water out of the system's tunnels. Path officials hope to have the trains running by Monday morning. The system shut down yesterday when the morning high tide flooded the Hoboken terminal. It's mostly dry now, and engineers say they're doing the best they can considering the circumstances.
We were well prepared, but water came in when that Hudson River rose so quickly, so swiftly, that where we're standing right now looked like a river, and the water was cascading off of the platforms and into the tracks. Never seen any proportion like that before.
The New Jersey Red Cross has opened dozens of shelters after new flooding along some shore and some river communities. Frank Grimes is in one of the hardest hit areas, Seabright, New Jersey, where predictions by officials turned out to be all too true. Frank, what's happening over there?
I am standing in Seabright, New Jersey, right by a seawall. The ocean is just behind me. We're just off a parking lot of the police and fire department buildings. The wind is very strong and very cold. The ocean at times crashes right up to this wall I'm standing in front of, and we still have 3.5 hours to go before high tide hits here. You know, the police chief told us that every building in this small town, population 2,100, that's every residence and every business, has been damaged by this seemingly never-ending storm. The wind is what greets you as you walk on the desolate streets of Seabright. It swirls around and screams at everything in its path. This powerful wind has been blowing for 2 days and has moved the ocean into all of Seabright, devastating the small town.
We have 8 beach clubs in Seabright. Every single one of them have been partially or almost all completely destroyed. Every single home in Seabright, homes that have never ever had water before, every one of them have received water damage.
In another area, the Highlands, north of Seabright, families took refuge at the Henry Hudson Regional School.
The water just started coming in my hallway, and I wasn't going to stay and wait. I just called the headquarters and told them to come get me.
It's really a source of inspiration to see how the people are rising to the occasion. Our policemen, our firemen, our rescue squad people, the National Guard, and citizens are all coming together, and frankly, it's the one bright spot out of this whole thing.
In Seabright, most people have left the area. No serious injuries have been reported. The question most people are asking each other is, when will this storm finally stop?
It's one of the longest storms I can ever remember. It's just wearing everybody down. It's wearing our equipment down. We're down to 1 police car, walkie-talkies, the batteries, everything is just worn out. Everybody's just completely, exhausted.
You know, high tide comes here at 11 o'clock tonight, and we've spoken to a number of folks here sitting around the police department, and the one thing they keep saying is, we just want this thing to stop. But even if the wind doesn't stop, let it blow the other way, so it blows this storm out to sea, and that folks can come back in here to their town and their homes and start the long job of just cleaning up this mess and getting their lives back. Reporting live from Seabright, New Jersey, I'm Frank Grimes. It's back to the studio.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. We're going to try to get some insight now. Nick Gregory has been tracking this storm all day. Nick, are we going to get any relief whatsoever, especially those people in the outer areas?
It's a very, very slow process, Lynn, involved in the storm. And in fact, I'm going to show you exactly why this storm is taking so long to get out of here. I mean, it's having the similar results of a hurricane, but hurricanes usually blast through pretty quickly and away they go. This is a winter-type storm, so I'll show you why that's happened in just a second. More importantly, let's talk about what's going to be the immediate problem tonight. First of all, the high tides. These are the times of high tides at Sandy Hook, 9:43, 10:23 at the Battery, Willets Point on the North Shore here into Long Island Sound, 12:58 a.m., Fire Island at 9:03 this evening, and the rest of the North Shore pretty much about 12:30 in the morning. So those are the times to look for the period of high tide. Needless to say, the coastal flood warnings are still up. I guess the only good news I can tell you about the upcoming tide is that it's not going to be as high as the surges have been over the last 2 days, maybe looking about 2 to 3 feet above normal versus 5 to 8 feet above normal yesterday. But again, the bad news is, as you saw in all that video, the damage is there. So any high tide above normal is going to cause additional damage and, of course, not allow folks to get into the area to start cleaning up that mess. Snow advisory is still up just inland from the city to the coastal areas of Connecticut, and the winter storm warning just further northwest of that, Westchester, Rockland, Orange, and Putnam counties in northwest New Jersey, because there still could be a little additional snow. And in fact, you'll see that on the radar in just a second. I'm getting a little nervous of what will be coming here later on this evening. The storm is still sitting out over the ocean. The clouds are spilling back across eastern New England, And again, the moisture sort of being funneled around. The worst of the storm now is really affecting eastern sections of New England. They have the strongest wind gusts, and wind gusts here today really never exceeded much over 50 miles per hour versus over almost 80 miles per hour yesterday, except eastern Long Island. Montauk had a gust of 61 earlier today. Now, you can see in the immediate area, it's just a little bit of light precipitation, some drizzle, some dry air has moved in just east of us, but look here. It's another band of precipitation that's forming, and if that continues its trend, we'll have another round of some light snow later tonight as the temperature stays cold, so maybe an additional inch or two if that happens. Certainly a better chance of that happening in central Connecticut. We'll be watching that for you. Now, here's what happened. An upper-level low just put its mark here, let's say, across the mid-Atlantic coast and sort of got cut off from the general circulation. The result is once the surface storm formed, it couldn't go anywhere because this upper-level system sort of grabbed it and has kept it there for 2 days. Again, different than a hurricane, which usually comes and zips up right up the coast. With this upper-level low, sort of an anchor, it's held that surface storm, and that's what's causing our 2-day barrage from Mother Nature. Well, I'll have the full forecast coming up for us, and it is going to get better. I can guarantee you that. I'll have that a little later on in the program. Then, Rosanna?
Okay, thank you very much. Boy, I hope it does get better.
Happy holidays, huh?
Really. Still ahead, we'll have a full report on the conditions in Manhattan.
And we'll look at some other trouble spots on the eastern seaboard.
Santa, we're at Houston Street, and I have to tell you, New York City seems to be getting back to normal. There's a lot of kids out here. They're playing. They're enjoying this freezing cold weather, but there's still a lot of problems. While all of the bridges and tunnels are open and operating smoothly, the FDR, as you can see behind me, is still closed. This is a closing marathon. In any event, there's still an awful lot of trouble spots. It's kind of an understatement to say New York's been a giant mess for the past couple of days. It seems like everything that could go wrong has.
I spoke with the governor a bit ago, and he is going to make the request of the federal government for disaster relief. We cannot put a number on it at this point, obviously, but that's in the works.
Constant rain, snow, and winds have flooded major roadways like the FDR Drive. Since yesterday morning, the drive has been shut down. It's a good decision since the East River literally closed in on the drive at certain spots, like in the 70s. Dozens of cars were submerged, and dozens of police emergency service workers had to use everything they could to rescue motorists. In addition, streets throughout the 5 boroughs have turned into rivers.
People remained cool and did smart things, and we've all seemed to have gotten through it quite well. And I think by Monday morning, things will be in order and back to normal.
This major storm has hit retailers in a big way. This is supposed to be one of the busiest weekends before Christmas.
We were supposed to go shopping yesterday, so obviously that didn't work out, and we need to do it now.
What do you think? Is it worth being here in this weather to go shopping?
Oh, sure. I come to New York every Christmas season. I love it.
And the weather hasn't bothered you?
Well, sure, it's bothered me, but you tough it out.
Have you been shopping?
Yes.
Has the weather bothered you? I mean...
Not at all. It's a great Christmas spirit out here.
Even though we know the weather's been absolutely horrible, there are those who continue to shop till they drop. How's business?
It's great. Had an incredible day.
The crowd today is obviously a group of intrepid people. They're out here despite the weather. They were out here from the moment we opened, and they appear to be buying a lot.
In addition to the weather, New York has its other dramas. A 72-year-old woman was hit by a taxi this morning as she tried to cross the street at 30th and 2nd. She was rushed to Bellevue and is in good condition. At 6:30 this morning, an explosion ripped through a supermarket at 101st Street and 2nd Avenue. In addition to battling the weather, firefighters worked several hours to bring the blaze under control. A security guard was injured in the blast. Well, it's a regular Saturday night here in New York. As you can see, the FDR is closed, but I drove in from Jersey today. And I've been driving around the city all day, there really hasn't been that much traffic today. It's been very light, so people took heed. They stayed home. One more bad note. In Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, a bowling alley totally collapsed. The good news on that, there were no injuries. Unfortunately, with all the storm-related problems, injuries here in the city and the 5 boroughs have been minute. I'm Penny Crone reporting live from Houston Street and the Harlem River Drive. Now back to you guys.
Okay, thank you, Penny. We're going to give you a break, but we'll see you back here at 10. A lot of the roads in our area are still a mess, but things are improving. Updating now in the city, as we just heard from Penny Crone, the FDR Harlem River Drive still closed, but the Throgs Neck and Whitestone bridges have been reopened with some restrictions. The Belt Parkway has also been reopened. In New Jersey, Route 46 has been reopened in Little Ferry. On the New Jersey Turnpike, trailers and motorcycles are banned from 7A in Allentown to the northern terminus. In Connecticut, the Merritt Parkway, the Connecticut Turnpike, and I-84 are open, but there is a lot of snow and ice on those roads. If you must travel, please be careful.
Farther south along the shoreline, the storm was no kinder. The high tide pounded away at Atlantic City and Ocean City. Beachfront property was devastated by the two-day onslaught. There has also been a lot of flooding, and there's also concern over the beach erosion. And in Philadelphia, they've stabilized that church steeple near the Ben Franklin Bridge. High winds blew pieces of the steeple onto the bridge, shutting it down. It's now open.
Well, still ahead, we will give you a number to call if you have questions about the storm, so get your pens and pencils ready.
And we'll hear from Governor Cuomo on the big storm of '92.
In New York, Mamaroneck police are still hunting for a possible drowning victim who was seen leaving a submerged car and then vanished under the water. A Jersey City woman was killed when she was hit by materials blown off the roof of a building.
Lynn, I just got off the phone a few minutes ago with Governor Cuomo. He says the National Guard's help is on the way for New York's hard-hit areas. Governor, yesterday you declared a state of emergency in New York. How has that helped us today?
Two things it does. Number one, it allowed me to use everything available to the state, every person, every building, every truck, the National Guard, to help out in New York City and on Long Island, and we have been doing that. Secondly, it laid the foundation for a request to the President for federal disaster relief, which could be millions and millions of dollars because the damage is so great. Today, incidentally, two things happened that haven't been reported yet. One is that I've written to the President saying that we will definitely apply for that relief. I'm certain now that the damages are sufficient. And the other thing I've done is to issue an order this evening empowering the General of the National Guard, Mike Hall, to call in reserves from the National Guard. We've been using volunteers until now, but I've asked him to call in everything he needs, especially for Seagate, where the mayor asked for another 100 people to help lay sandbags to keep the waters back at Seagate. So I've ordered the General of the National Guard, Mike Hall, to recruit, in effect, to draft, to call in to mandatory service, whatever he needs. And he started with 100 this evening.
Will the state be taking any other action?
Everything we have to, Rosanna. I've told Mayor Dinkins and the county executives of all the other four counties, Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester, and Rockland, that whatever they need, we will supply.
And on a personal note, the governor, who is in Albany, says that area got only a small taste of the storm, a lot less than was predicted. Very lucky for him and the people up in Albany.
Certainly. Coming up next, we will go back to Brooklyn. We will have an update on the devastation there.
And Nick will tell us what tomorrow will bring, plus the back-to-work forecast.
Hi.
Hi.
My baby blanket.
Yeah, my dog must have gotten it off your clothesline. I'm really sorry. I tried to wash it, but look.
Oh.
Yeah, these stains won't ever come out now that it's been through the dryer. Let me pay for it.
No, let me try this new Tide first.
Introducing ultra-intensified new ultra-liquid Tide. With a little help from Tide, even dryer-set-in stains disappear without a trace.
Hey, it's really clean.
If I'd have known about this Tide stuff, you wouldn't have known about the grass stains.
New ultra-intensified liquid Tide. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
There are a lot of smart reasons to apply for the American Express card. Just call us at 1-800-THE-CARD.
And then a canceled flight won't leave you stranded.
I can't believe they canceled our flight.
It'll be fine. This is a great day. It's a beautiful drive.
Because unlike a bank card, the American Express card has no preset spending limit.
Ordered in the National Guard to help. And where Brooklyn Union Gas says salt water is now in the gas pipes, forcing the shutdown of all heat to the homes. George Smith is standing by live. George.
Well, Rosanna, you can feel the storm out here just getting worse. It was about this time last night that things really started to get bad, and you can probably see behind me the ocean waters are getting rougher and rougher, leaping over the seawalls and smashing against the coast. We understand that high tide is expected here about 10 o'clock tonight. Now, as we reported to you earlier, there are rocks and boulders that have been tossed onto the shoreline here. They destroyed windows, and they destroyed a pool back here. The waves and the wind completely destroyed a two-story home out here, and at least one other one, we understand, has been totally destroyed and is no longer habitable. People are leaving this area by the dozens, even hundreds. Many residents on the coastline here do not have electricity or gas or heat, and so they are staying in temporary shelters tonight. Some are very not far away from here now, but this area is deemed to be too dangerous right now. There are 4 homes, as we mentioned earlier, that are uninhabitable. They don't know whether or not they are going to collapse, but it appears that it's not a good idea for people to stay in them right now. In any case, that is the latest from here. Reporting live from Brooklyn, I'm George Smith. Now back to Lynn in the studio.
Okay, George, we thank you and your crew, and you guys be careful out there. We'll go back now to Nick Gregory for the latest on the storm of 92, get a look at what's coming up in the days ahead, hopefully some relief. Nick?
Oh, there is, Lynn. We've just got to hold on a little bit longer. We're going to have some real good relief coming in shortly, but still another rough couple of hours coming up for us. And where George Smith is out there at Seagate, high tide actually will be coming in at 9:40, so that's in just a short time from now. And here's an idea of what it's been like over the last 2 days in the metro area. Let's check out our current reading. It's 34 now, dew point at 31, the wind still gusting to 23, a high wind advisory still up, 41 and 33 today with a trace of snow, and the barometer is still rising. A good sign as that storm tries to pull away and bring some better weather towards us, but it's a slow pull out. Let's go and check out our latest advisory still in the area. And again, the coastal flood warning is still in effect as sights of what you just saw on that videotape may occur again tonight, although the high tide should be only about 2 to 3 feet above normal. That's a lot better than yesterday, and so the damage will still be there, but nothing as severe as we saw yesterday. Inland, it's for snow and slippery travel. Snow advisories just inland from the city, and a winter storm warning still north and west of town. These are the tides basically between 9:30 and just after midnight across the area, so keep that in mind. Now look at the radar. It's still showing light snow in the area. It's light snowing a bit now in New York City, and you can see another band of precipitation trying to form out here, so that may be coming towards us as the night comes along, so we'll be keeping you posted on that. An additional maybe inch or two of snow that may be happening. Let's go and check our 5-day forecast if we can real quickly and just show you that the snow will end tonight late, and then tomorrow some sun by afternoon, 41. A warming trend. Look at that, 53 by Tuesday, so all the snow will melt, and another chance of rain by Thursday. That's our latest on the weather. More tonight at 10.
Okay, that is our special report. We will be back at the 10 o'clock news. Rosanna Scotto will be with me.
And